Boiling an egg. People say, sometimes they say boiling an egg is so simple. One of the easiest dinners to have. Takes 3 minutes. You put the egg into boiling water, you leave it 3 minutes, crack open the egg and eat it. That couldn't be further away from the truth. An egg being boiled and ate takes a masterclass. I'm going to attempt today to do a masterclass on how to boil an egg. Now, opening the egg box is a trick on its own, because if you put too much pressure on the side of the egg box like that, you scratch the top surface of the egg and immediately you can have a ruined egg, because although that looks very shiny and you just feel that you just put that into the water, farther from the truth could you be. You have to take off the indentations on the egg. You see there the little bit of dirt that affects the quality of the egg so much. And to just brush your finger, and it must be that finger, because if you use any other finger, the texture's not the same. So you must use this finger here, use your forefinger, and just gently rub down the side of the egg till you've got off all the dirt. And then you shake it about 3 times. 1, 2, 3. And just tap it on the side. And then the egg is almost ready to be put in the water, but not quite. Because if you're going to be doing 2 eggs, you need to do the same with the second egg, but you need to do it upside down, because you need the yolk at the top. This is the case simply because in the ancient time, well, the Romans actually, they used to march on eggs, not literally on the egg. They used to eat the egg and march on, and they found that if the yolk was at the bottom when they cracked it, their digestive system didn't work quite so well. So they used to turn one of the eggs upside down, which put the yolk to the bottom, and then it fermented in their stomachs, and they found it far easier to march on that. Now, once you've got your 2 eggs together, just tap them like that to make sure that they're whole. And then you must fire up the water. This alone is another skill. Don't just fire up the water thinking it will boil. You have to set it to exactly the right temperature, like that. That is a perfect flame. And then you reduce it by about 2 millibars. And you can wait for the water. Now, some people think, oh, do I put the egg straight in the water? No, you don't do that, because if you put eggs into cold water, they disinfusiate them. And what this does, it takes the goodness out of them. It takes the nutrients out of them, because the cold water has an effect on the inside of an egg. That's why you'll find a lot of chickens don't drink fresh water, simply because, or cold water, because it disinfectuates the egg, and when they try to to provide eggs, it's far more difficult for them. So we've got 2 eggs here. We're going to put 2 eggs together. Don't be confused with the process of doing the egg. Don't feel that you need to put it in any particular order or what eggs you're going to use. It's just very important to make sure that one's upside down and the other's not upside down. Be prepared for what you're going to have with your egg as well. Are you going to have toast? Because if you have the toast, you need to put the toast on straight away. There's no point in waiting for that. So what you do for that is you get a slice of toast, which is very easy to do. Let me just go and get a slice of toast now. So when you're going to decide what you're going to have with the egg, it's probably best to look at the texture of the egg, what sort of egg you're going to be doing. If it's a duck egg, then you obviously can't have bread with a duck egg, because the ducks don't eat the bread for a reason, and that's because their eggs do not match or do not facilitate bread. So waffles are sometimes very good to have with an egg. Beans, but they ferment. They ferment the yolk, and the yolk also ferments the tomato. You can't eat tomato and eggs together, because the nutrients are dissolved when you do that. So what you make sure as you're cooking, you make sure you're checking the temperature of the water. Obviously you don't put your finger in the water, but this is a trick to check the temperature of the water. You put in a teaspoon like that, you crack it on the side, you get an egg, you put it over there, like so, and if there's a drip off the spoon, it means the water's ready for you to put the egg into. So you get your 2 eggs, as so, one upside down, one the straight way up, clasp in your hand, straight into the water, like so. Don't hesitate, you must put them both in at the same time. Don't ever drop one before the other or do them in separate pots. They must go down together. And then while you're waiting for the water to boil, just get a little spoon, just gently get a wave effect. Because if you ever chuck a duck egg or a chicken egg, it doesn't matter which egg, into water, into the sea, you'll find that it floats to the bottom, and you don't want that to happen here. So the ripple effect of the wave keeps the eggs buoyant, which stops the yolk from becoming too yellow, which again can be a problem, and just gently chuck the water over the top of the egg and create that ripple effect, that wave effect, so they're moving constantly. See the way I'm doing that, and you probably can't see the eggs, but you can hear the water just running over it. It has that sea effect, which is so important for an egg. Keep your spoon down there at a 90-degree angle, because you don't want the reflection onto the side of the saucepan, because that can heat it up a little bit too soon. The eggs to use, I'm currently using, so I always use organic eggs, but I always use eggs from a farm that also has other animals on it. I think if you just get it from a single chicken farm, the eggs are not quite so good, because the chickens like to socialise. They're happy if they socialise, especially if they socialise with sheep. And it produces a far better egg because the chicken's happier, they're more in control. Whereas if they're on their own, or they're mixing with horses, for instance, they tend to not be quite as happy. They don't get on as well. Chicken and horses don't get on so well, so the eggs are slightly less quality. So I always get my eggs from an organic farm that also has sheep on there, and so I think that's really, really very important. Make sure you have a timer, as you see. You don't have to have a wristwatch on, because you can tap your hand like that, and that will tell you if your vein comes up. It's been going on for 1 minute and 28 seconds, and it's currently been going out for 1 minute 28 seconds. So in a couple of minutes, another sort of 1 minute and 32 seconds, we should be ready to take the eggs out. There's a big art to taking the eggs out, which you'll see in a minute. It's not simply dunking your spoon in and taking out the egg. It's very important that it's done in a certain way. You don't want to upset the destimulation of the eggs. And the destimulation of the eggs means that if you take it out at the wrong angle, you will not be able to crack the top of the egg. Or if you do, it will crack in the wrong way. You need your eggs to be cracked properly. You can't just tap them on the head and take the top off, especially if they've been dunked under the water at the wrong temperature. These are currently at the perfect temperature. They're just ready to just come into the boil now. So we'll give it another, let's have a look. So that's now 1 minute 53 seconds. So we'll give that another 1 minute and 7 seconds, but probably in about 37 seconds, we'll double check the water. All the time, of course, we must get the ripple effect, so that the eggs are rippling through the water. At this stage now, with just over 2 minutes, you can get some grains of salt, not too many. 511 is the exact ones, as you can see there. Got exactly 511 there. Sprinkle that over the top, and then put some to the side onto your board, because this encourages the egg to come out. With that there, the salt that's in there, it acts as a diffusion. Diffusion is the transformation of energy from one area to another area, and that will bring the eggs out, especially now that the water is bubbling. They're ready to come out, so the salt in there and the salt in there, they should come out a lot easier now. If you don't put the salt there, you find it very, very difficult to get the eggs out of the water.
especially at a 90-degree angle, which is essential for this. Always put your plastic to one side because we don't want that to get burnt. Let's check the time now. We're currently at 2 minutes and 31 seconds. So we have another 19 seconds and then we have the 10-second countdown. You must always have the 10-second countdown because that allows the egg 10 seconds to grow, to diffuse, to ferment, to get all those good words, those good nutrients into the egg. So we'll give it another final stir, like that. We'll get the ripple effect going, which is very, very important, like that. Always use your right hand because if you use your left hand, the ripple of the waves comes the wrong way, destroys the egg completely. So just flick the water over the top of the egg, like so. Tap the side of it because if you didn't realise, eggs like sound, they like music. The sound sort of undulates their thinking, it undulates the skin inside the egg, and it just keeps it moving. It's like it's like when you're dancing, you feel happy and you feel good. This is what it does to the egg. The noise and the ripple of the side of the pan gives the eggs gets them moving. Very important. Eggs are alive. Eggs are important. That they have feelings and that. That's why I'm so passionate about getting this right. Just check the clock. We're now down to the 10-second countdown. We start from 10 from now. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. You stop at 5. You put out a cloth onto the side like so. Just so that the egg has a feeling of homeliness and warmth and comfort. You don't want the egg to feel cold and neglected because, like anybody, we don't work at our best if we're neglected. And then you can go back to your countdown, which was currently at 5. We're down to 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. When you get to 0, don't automatically turn the heat off because heating at 100 degrees, if it cuts off too soon, it loses its posture. We don't want that. At the moment, both eggs are currently together, which is exactly where we want them. So I think now it's time to turn them off like so. Absolutely. They're now boiling. Just leave them there for about 5 seconds, no more than 5 seconds. Get yourself a little plate like so. Make them feel at home. Get a coloured plate. Don't always use a white plate because eggs respond better to the colours. The shell especially is adapted to colours. That's why it is a neutral effect because it enjoys the colours. It sort of generates from that. It gets energy. It gets life from different colours. Notice we have red, pink, yellow spots. Put that to one side. Leave that there. And then it's time to take out our first egg. Now notice the way I'm doing this, I'm not going straight in, I'm trying to get under the egg like so, which is actually very important. Put that in there. Just roll it round in there very gently, let the yolk move around. Let the egg get used to its environment. I think that's really important, that the egg gets used to its environment. Just run it round there a couple of times and then you can introduce the second egg. Which turn out like that, exactly the same. Get your spoon at a 90-degree angle underneath the egg. Look at the steam. As the steam's coming off, it went through the extra salt that was on the side. It felt comfort. And look how the shell has brightened up with the colours and how they're rolling together. Notice how the eggs roll together. That means that they're in a good place. They're full of energy, they're warm, they're ready to go, which is absolutely perfect. So the final piece of this jigsaw now is to crack open the egg. Now when we do that, we turn them like that. Okay, make sure your thumb and your finger are either side just like that. If you do it from the middle finger, you don't get the same effect. You cannot get that blow into the side of the egg, so you must use your forefinger and your thumb, and then you just take one. It's like an axe, really. Axe through wood, exactly the same thing. You go through like that, and then you crack it. Look at that beautiful crack along the side there. That goes along like that. Goes all the way around, absolutely like so. All the way around. And there you have
most perfect cracked egg. That is absolutely amazing. And we take the other egg out, and let me show you what's inside, just so that you look at that. Look at that. You have a beautiful running egg. The colours are there, a beautiful colour there. And that's because of the salt. Remember the salt. This is the egg that was upside down. This is the egg that had, well, both of them did, but they had the ripple effect under in the water. Look at that beautiful yellow and white yolk. That's full of goodness. That took exactly 3 minutes plus the 5 seconds on top. There you have the most beautifully made egg you could possibly have. That's ready to eat. Thank you very much for listening. You can follow me on my podcast. I'm doing talks around the country on eggs. I think for the last 25 years I've been speaking on eggs, and there's very little I don't know about eggs. My talks last for exactly 3 minutes, and you can find me anywhere around the country. It'd be great to see you. If you have any questions on eggs, please don't hesitate to contact me. Enjoy making the eggs, and I'll see you very soon. Thank you.